Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. Welcome to my July wrap-up video. Today we're going to talk about all the books that I read in July. Hang on, Hachi's ball's under the camera. Yes. See? Okay. Good. Are you gonna come up here? Oh. Okay. Look at that beautiful little face. Okay, back to business. Today we are going to talk about my July wrap-up. I read 10 books, which is much better than June. June I only read 5, and typically my average is like, I always say 8 to 12, but I haven't read 12 books in a month in like a year, so it's more like 8 to 10 books now. I had a fantastic reading month in July, and I think that's just because I found some really good series that I have been loving, and I've been getting back into my more like epic fantasy era, and I think that's really helping. So the first 2 books that I read in the month of July, I got to finish the Bloodsworn Saga trilogy, and oh my gosh, is this just absolutely stunning, absolutely amazing. Every one of these characters just stole my heart, and I think that that is kind of like the standout for me of why I loved it so much. It's just because the characters were just so phenomenal, and family was a big standout point in this book, and like protecting your own family, and female main character is just full of female rage, and she's a badass, and she can fight like hell, and just amazing. And I would love to be her. I just really loved it, and it got into some really cool like old mythology and like Viking lore, and I just really love that recently. I've got a couple other like Viking type of like fantasy books that I have in mind right now that I want to start very soon, because I've been in just such a kick, especially after reading these. But I truly, it's been a month and I still haven't like stopped thinking about each of these characters like every other day, which I think says a lot. So I will be cherishing the series for a very long time. Like, this is one that I would definitely reread in the future, and I'm not a huge rereader at all. So love the series so much. Next book that I finished was from my TBR. It's been on a few of my TBRs actually. Blood in the Mist, I think is how you pronounce it. This is kind of like, they say it's a lost classic, and I liked it. It was just okay. It's kind of like a little fairy tale type of story, but with a little like evil twist to it, and you're just following a cast of characters, and they're trying to like figure out almost like a mystery of this fairy fruit that these kids keep getting a hold of. And just like we all know, fairy fruit kind of makes people go a little crazy, or makes humans go a little crazy. They're just kind of like following this mystery, and there's like a lot of questionable characters, and honestly I was kind of rubbed wrong a little bit about just like some of the quotes and stuff that the like male characters were saying. But other than that, it was a good time. Not really that big of a deal. I think I gave it like a 3-star or something. So yeah, I love the cover. This was 100% a cover buy for me, and I bought this like 2 years ago. So I'm glad I read it for sure. Okay, this next book, I love it so much. This is just exactly what I needed in the moment, I think. I picked this book up at the airport after my flight got canceled, and then rescheduled for the next day, and then rescheduled for the same day, and then delayed like 2 hours, and then delayed again, and gates changed like 3 times. Like, I had a bit of a day trying to get home. So basically, just like any book girly is gonna go do, is I found the nearest bookstore in the airport. There's just something about an airport bookstore that just is so special. I don't know what it is. It's just like endless possibilities, and there's always like one random book that I've never heard of before, never seen before, and this was that book for me. And it's funny because I had been scouring San Diego, all over the bookstores there, for like this type of book. This honestly just delivered so much. This is not really like a twisty book, kind of. I can't say too much because I feel like it would kind of spoil it for you, but ultimately there's this like ongoing mystery through decades about this floating island that's floating out in the sea, and there's a man that lives on it. This island is like spotted randomly by sailors, but people don't really know if they're actually seeing it, or if it's kind of just like a trick of the wind or a trick of the clouds or whatever. In the very beginning, we're in this little girl's point of view, and she is down by the sea, and she hears something, and it's like this loud bang or something, like a loud noise, and it's basically this island crashing into her plot of land. And so she goes out and she sees it. She ends up going onto the island and meeting this mysterious man. Then we flash forward like a couple decades, and we're back in this girl's point of view, and this mystery has just been ongoing. And then finally she hears of a sighting. Basically, she just goes on this quest to like find this island, things happen and it just gets better and better and better the farther you go into this book. And it's really not even that long. I think it was like almost 300 pages. Yeah, like 275 pages, and every little bit of it was perfect to me. I kind of got like Outlander vibes when I was reading this book in like kind of an odd way, but I truly, truly loved it so much. Like, it was phenomenal. I'm just so happy that I picked it up at the airport. I ended up buying it at the airport and I finished it by the time I got home that night, like on the plane. The next book that I finished in, I keep wanting to say August, it's not August, in July, is the first book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I have been wanting to read this book or this trilogy for a very long time. I just have such a history with Lord of the Rings. I think any millennial child probably does if you were surrounded by people who liked reading or movies. And I just like was kind of raised to love it or die. Always grew up watching the movies. I've watched them 1,000 times at this point, and I have read The Hobbit or read that like, I don't know, 10 times at this point. And I just have never gotten around to actually reading the trilogy. So I'm very happy that I finally started it. I've been listening to it on audio and honestly really, really loving that experience. I was kind of worried that like listening to it on audio would kind of take away from the experience of like physically reading the book, but I've kind of been like popping in and out of listening and reading, and it's been just like really great because it's the perfect type of audiobook to just put on while I'm painting or while I'm walking on the treadmill or I'm walking the dog, and it's just truly wonderful and magical and just like the quest of a lifetime. And yeah, if you haven't watched the movies, what are you doing? And I would highly recommend that reading the trilogy. I think it's totally worth it. I was scared it would be kind of slow. It's not slow at all. It's actually really, really cool. And his writing style is beautiful. I'm halfway through the Two Towers right now. And then after that, I'm just gonna jump straight into the third book. So I'm really, really happy about that. This next book was actually featured in a reading blog, and I talked all about it extensively about my experience reading that. So if you haven't seen that reading blog, definitely go check that out. Because of that, I'm not going to talk too much about this. That reading vlog, for whatever reason, did really well. So welcome if you're new here, by the way. My name's Alex. I love talking about books, and I love sharing the books that I've been reading and hopefully exposing you guys to new books that you've never heard or read before. I like to keep this channel very cozy, very calm, very chill. Nothing is taken quite too seriously here. I have a really cute dog that like reminds me of a dragon, and I like plants, and that's about it. So welcome. I really love this book. I had a very good time, and when I bought this from Half Price Books, I had never heard of this before, didn't know the author or anything, and I just kind of like read the description, and it just sounded like something that I would really like. And it's basically kind of like a slice of life and a coming of age story of a little boy that lives in like ancient Rome, and he is raised by these women that work in a brothel. And you're basically just following him on his day-to-day as he goes through kind of a lot of trauma and struggles and builds his relationships with these women. And you kind of get little like bits and pieces of the women's history and background as well. And it's just like really, really beautiful. And the author's writing style is also really stunning. And I think that's one of the things that like really snatched my attention, is just, it was very immersive. And I always felt like I was right there with the characters. I always wanted to just like sit down by the fire with them and just like listen to the women's stories as they were like teaching him and stuff. Like, it was just really great. And I did order and get the second book in, so I will be reading the second book hopefully really soon. If I can fit it in August, I'm gonna try, but August is going to be packed of traveling, so I don't know. I can't bring any of my physical books with me. There's just like no way that's going to happen, so I might have to wait until later, but I do want to read the second one really, really soon, following him as he's an adult, navigating a lot of like political scheming and stuff like that, which sounds really, really good. So absolutely check trigger warnings for that one, especially when it comes to like child abuse. The next book for me was probably my lowest book of the month. This month I didn't have any DNFs, which is kind of saying something this year, because I think like every month I've DNF'd a book recently. But this one, it was just okay. I had higher expectations for this book, I think, than what it really produced for me, unfortunately. It was a cool setting, definitely cool vibes, definitely super unique, and I'm glad that I read it. Realized that there's like a true history behind the whole like point of this story, which I think is really cool. And I did really enjoy her writing style, but I just don't think that really just had that oomph that I was looking for. I thought it was gonna be more creepy, more scary, more like thriller, horror type of vibes, and it really wasn't. It was more of just like telling a story, which is totally fine, but I just not the expectations that I had for it going in, which is on me, not the author. So it was a good book, but nothing crazy. It was like a 3-star. I talked about this also in that reading vlog, and so I won't go into depth about the plot either, but basically you're just following a group of monks that go off and find a random uninhabitable island and start to live there and try to build like a life on that island. There's just a lot of like weird things that happen. So it was interesting. Okay, these two I'm really excited about sharing. At this point, I'm pretty sure the vlog that I read these in is going to be out, but I did read finally this, well, I almost called it a duology, but we found out that it's not a duology at all. It's going to be a full series. So I don't know how many books is going to actually be in the series. I don't think it's really for sure, because I couldn't really find anything online about how many books are planned in this, but it kind of gives like trilogy, maybe 4 books in the series type of vibes. Yeah, this is the Epilogue of Kings and Prologue of Queens by Elizabeth G. Mark, and I originally found her on Instagram because she posts some really cool reels about her book with like character art and stuff, and really just grabbed me in, and finally started it, and I was so addicted to these books. I just flew through them. Also, it was during a week that I was just sick, rotten in bed, so I just like, yeah, just ate these books up. They're on KU, so if you want to read them on your Kindle, like you totally can. You start off following this girl who lives in this more of like a modernized city, but it's like hard living. Her mother and her brother has passed away. She doesn't really have any family. She just kind of like lives with her friend. She's in a bad relationship, hard life, like tough life. And there's always been this mystery about this group of boys that end up going missing when she was younger, and her brother was one of them. Some of the boys came back, some of them didn't. The boys that did come back won't talk about what happened at all, and they basically just said the other boys died, and they won't say anything else. She ends up finally finding the courage to like confront these boys and be like, hey, what the hell? Like, where's my brother? What actually happened? You can't tell me any details. I'm his sister, blah, blah, blah. And things just kind of like go from there. This author took inspiration from Narnia, from Lord of the Rings. It gets really interesting and just gets better and better as you go on, and expands a lot in the second book, and you just get a lot more to it in the second book. So even if this was kind of like a mid for you, I would highly recommend at least starting this one, kind of seeing where you go. If you still don't like it, like whatever, it's probably you're not gonna like it, but I do feel like I started picking up a little bit more when I got into the second book and like really started loving it. So these were phenomenal. I love these. The last book that I read and ate up in July was The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. She is my new favorite cozy fantasy author, and for so many good reasons. Like, this book was like just getting a massive warm hug, and I just loved every second of it. It was like one of those that I didn't want to read too fast, but I ended up reading it in like 24 hours. Like, it was just so amazing, so magical, so just innocent, and full of just love and life and happiness and quirkiness, which is like some of my favorite things ever. And it's totally different than Legends and Lattes, but gave me those like warm feelings that I got when I read Legends and Lattes for the first time. But this one I was like giggling out loud like multiple times when I was reading this, and mainly from reading like Kaz's characters dialogue and stuff. Like, he's freaking funny, and it was just so cute. There's a romance, and it's just really adorable, and I don't know, everything about it is just so innocent and lovely and beautiful. And I already ordered the other 2 books. Like, I will be reading those for sure, like 100%. But these are definitely like really good books to read, I think, when maybe you're feeling a little down. The blues have kind of hit you a little bit, maybe in like the winter blues, honestly, is kind of what I'm feeling for maybe the next 2 books, when I want to probably break those out. Just like, yeah, just like one of those weekends where you just like need a lot of positivity coming your way. I think these are so good for that. And even if you're not feeling down, like, of course you're gonna love these. I'm really happy with it. It was like a cozy fantasy, but it also had, there was always something going on, and there was definitely some mid stakes that you know, was happening and stuff, and a really fun plot, and you learn a lot about this girl's history, and she's like running away from this evil city and this evil government and stuff, and she's protecting her love, which is a box of books. She's got a little talking spider plant that's just like following her around, and yeah, it's just amazing. I loved it so much. I almost unhauled this book like so many times because I've just had it sitting on my shelf. And if you know me at all, I don't like books sitting on my shelf for like more than 2 years. Like it just starts to make me feel icky. And that's been one of them. I just haven't read it. And so I'm just like so happy that I finally did. Oh my God. These are the 10 books that I read in July. And I had such a great reading month. I hope it continues in August. I'm already having a fantastic reading month in August. It's only the 7th, August 7th. Thank you guys so much for being here. And like I said earlier, welcome to everybody that's new. I'm so happy that you guys found this channel, and I hope that it can just bring you a little bit of joy, a little bit of peace for your day. And I hope that you guys have had a wonderful week and weekend, and I will see you guys in the next video next Saturday. Bye guys.